funk, thoughts deep, boys steeped in the depths that he sunk. Big stress, depressed in the middle of fall. Sky gray, I late in the thick of it all. I wonder, how long can a human survive just staying alive or carrying the rest of the tribe? Waiting for the day to arrive or struggling dies, and I be doing way, way more than getting by. So why? Got myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Hey, got myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Realize life is so much more than just living a day. Every day I can sit and reflect and breathe and connect to myself and know that I've been given. See, giving up is not an option. So when I'm looking at gray skies, I'll be adopting a new way to deal with a test. Lord, relieve me of stress. The ring be looking like when blessings drop in. And so I got myself a cup of coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Coffee, sipping water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Hey, here we go. Yeah, let's do this. Y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. In times of test, let no harm beset me, oh my Lord, oh my Lord.
Get yourself together before it's too late.
All right. Sorry about that. If Dave were here, he would say, that's your fault. And it would be my fault tonight. It really would be. With the help of some of my friends, I solved the problem. Apparently it was Comcast, the modem. And usually it's the computer, needs a good restart and such. But yeah, it needed a couple restarts, and that took about 8 minutes each. And so there we are. So I'm getting a little bit of echo. I don't know what's going on, but the show is going to continue. I cannot stop. And I do have my two wonderful friends and guests tonight. That would be T-Bone from the state of Florida. I want to say the great state of Florida, but I'm not quite ready to say that with Governor DeSantis there. We'll talk about him.
Bite that
And
tongue.
from the wonderful country of Canada and the wonderful province of Ontario and the not so bad city of London, which
That's still an armpit.
it's still an armpit. Okay. Well, don't they make raincoats based on London, Ontario, London fog, or is that the real
No,
London?
that's the actual London. London, Ontario, they just couldn't think of a name for a town, so they just said, it's like London, the people in London, England actually say it's the fake London. So I guess it's the fake London that I'm living in.
Well, it's interesting. Have you ever been to London, England?
Not to London. I've been to England. I spent time in Nottingham, which is where my mother is from. And mostly the Midlands. I've been to Manchester, Wales, but not London itself. I never needed that kind of madness in my life, actually, and the expenses too. Like, it's crazy expensive over there.
It would be kind of interesting. if someone from London were in London, but not from the London, and you show that driver's license, I'm from London, they don't seem to have the accent. So that's interesting. So yeah, so live from London, Ontario, we have this international show already. Just by definition, it's international. And I know if Epi's there, we've got people from over the pond, literally from Great Britain. So that's a big thumbs up for everybody. And we have from, again, the state of Florida. Sorry.
Survivor.
A survivor. We have a survivor here. And that would be our T-Bone, Side of Life. Wonderful to see you, T-Bone.
Thank you, sir.
You're going to have to update us.
It's a cure for cancer,
Yeah.
What?
Well, didn't Ponce de Leon think that the elixir of life, the fountain of youth, was in Florida or something like that?
Yeah,
Yes.
It must be true.
Right. Yeah. We'll get into that later.
It's been lost ever since.
But seriously speaking, T-Bone, can you
Yeah.
give us a little background on what happened to you during the storm and where you are right now with the situation?
Well, I did get quite a few of the video clips of the storm, so I put that on my channel. I uploaded that this evening. It wasn't that bad, though. Now, I'm in Polk County, which is pretty much due center of Central Florida. I say, wow, what was that?
That was me. I'm while you're saying this, I'm trying to see if what the problem was. Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, that's our show tonight, folks.
That's it. Thanks for dropping by.
Right.
Here we are again, rubbing the third rail.
Well, you won't have to get your earwax washed out. That'll just pop out from that. Just kidding.
Oh, already got it. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Let's go.
Yeah.
No, actually, it wasn't that bad here. I mean, right in the central part of Florida. Now, I can't answer for the coast side,
right.
But I want to say it was around, I think it was sometime in the early morning hours of Thursday, the power went out, so I was cut off from everything around me. But for here, it was about like Irma, when Irma hit back in 2017, and that was like a Category 2 when it got reached us. But I don't even know what the death count is. Nothing.
I think the last time I looked, it was like 42, but that was this afternoon because it was horrible. What's the island? Sanibel Island or something like that?
Yeah, that's the causeway just collapsed, right?
Just collapsed.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I suppose DeSantis, as they say, will be looking for some socialist backing from the president.
Here's the thing. I thought it was the damnest thing. The neighbors on the other side of the wall in the neighborhood, I seen a big trash pile of debris out there, and I kept seeing this red sign. I didn't know what it was. I asked my neighbor, I said, what is that sign? Is that a for sale sign? He said, no, it's a Ron DeSantis sign. I said, huh. Well, it's next to the brush pile. Might as well go with it.
Right. Well, something interesting happened this weekend. I don't think you're going to believe this, but I do.
Whoa. The shadow.
Taking that off.
Just fell down a hole.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
There.
This is not yet what I want to show. But what I do want to say, I'll see if I can find it. Oh, that guy.
Yikes.
If I don't find it, I can tell you exactly. Okay, here it is. And I'm going to blow this up a little bit for the folks at home. Okay. So, Deanna Lorraine, who ran for Congress in 2020, and Lauren Witzke, who was the Delaware GOP's candidate for Senate in 2020, agree that Hurricane Ian is the deep state using weather manipulation technology to punish Ron DeSantis for not enacting a vaccine mandate in Florida. I mean,
somebody's not taking their medication.
Yeah. Well, right, and that is going to lead me.
I got 2 words for her: donkey dicks.
Where'd you get that one?
Oh my god!
I can't get you in here for Christ's sake.
Good Lord. We get the same thing up here. It's like up here, the right wing is say Trudeau's fault. Everything's Trudeau's fault, because he brought in the vaccine mandate. Nobody, no, he didn't actually. It was provincially run, but it's the same thing. Anything he touches, Justin's haircut. Look at Justin's haircut. It's ridiculous. Never about anything substantial. And this is what the right wing is doing all over the place. What they're doing is just lying. I mean, that's it. That's the thing to do, is just you attack your political opponent with absolute lies, pay no attention to their accomplishments. I mean, it's the same thing everywhere. And
Yeah.
now in Italy, we've got some crazed fascist party. Oh yeah, family values, the Mussolini family values. I'm fed up. I just, sometimes I turn off the news and I go, I can't deal with this shit anymore. I'm done. And I'm gonna go outside for a minute and breathe some air and say, okay, all this is happening now. Why, in the last decades of my life, do I have to see everything turn to shit? And that's an unsettling feeling. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry.
Well, I got that feeling watching your video, and anybody who hasn't watched Vidge's video today, it's great. I mean, he goes off.
Definitely go see it.
But
Go see it.
He lays it down very, very clearly. But that's going to basically represent a lot of what I'm going to ask you folks to comment on tonight. And if you look at the title of the show, it basically say what remains and what will be irrevocably lost. And this came out of a long walk that I had today, just thinking back to, like 1933 with Germany. And we've discussed this movement toward fascism, but specifically the intellectuals in Germany, as the Nazis were rising to power, not just forget about Hitler for a second, just the Nazis. It seems the intellectuals, whether they were Jewish or not in Germany, they were smart enough to realize what was going on, but they didn't accept it. They thought this will be taken care of. This can't continue. It won't continue. And then, as you know, what happened? It did continue. And everything was lost during those years. And even after that, because of the war, and it changed the world as we know it, it changed Europe. But again, it was this, for want of a better expression, gentlemen, a trap that these intellectuals put on themselves. And where I go with this is, and I'll have you guys comment, I'm thinking back to people like Lindsey Graham, people like Mitch McConnell, people who knew what Trump was doing was wrong, and even making comments, I've had it with this. Ted Cruz, same. I mean, as horrible as they are, they were basically saying, this is no good. But once that woman came to the airport and gave, Lindsey Graham a piece of her mind, he was intimidated, and everybody fears violence. I'm not talking about the Democrats. I'm not even talking about January 6th. They fear it. They feared it because it's, to me, this is just my opinion, that Trump probably had the wink and the nod saying, if you go against me, I'm going to use violence. And even today, he tweeted that McConnell had a death wish. And I guess he wants to get everybody on his side. He can't stand anything but loyalty. So again, what I'm trying to drive home is that those intellectuals in 1933, to me, are kind of representing what the Republican Party basically is going through. I mean, we know that they had this change in 93 with the contract with America and Gingrich. It was bad enough, but they are locked in, and locked in because I think they themselves put themselves in a trap. A trap with trap. Can we? And where do you go? This is that idea of irrevocably lost. So I want to just throw that out there. It's kind of like an open-ended thing, and I gave you my idea of, how this is really operating as kind of a trap that they are in, and therefore we are in. What say you guys? Anybody?
I would say that Trump is finished. Now, I'm not saying the Republicans are finished or fascism is finished, but I have to wonder if Merrick Garland is basically crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and is going to spring everything. Everything's been coming down on the man. He's got the tax case in New York. He's got the rape, the civil case there. I mean, the man is. I just it would have to be superhuman to wriggle out of all the shit that the man is in. And I think what's even scarier is if the GOP suddenly abandon him and go for a DeSantis flush, because he is more dangerous than Trump. Trump is a buffoon. He's an idiot. Maybe he appeals to the lowest common denominator of Americans, but I think people are genuinely fed up with all this garbage. That's my personal opinion. But I also see, if the Republicans even take the House in November next month. Oh my God, it's coming up fast. Then you're going to see just you're. I'm going to say you're going to end up like Hungary with somebody like Orban. And DeSantis is dangerous. I think he's extremely dangerous because he's a smart man, whereas Trump is an idiot. Anybody with any sort of education is going to recognize that Trump is a complete idiot. And perhaps he has still a hardcore following among his MAGA people, but you look at anybody that has interviewed them, and they're idiots. They're just and how bad is the education system, Brian? Because that is what I see as the answer to getting away from this.
Well, I think it's state by state too. With that question's a great question because I've never seen such a discrepancy from state to state on education, because each state, obviously, I'm sure even each province in Canada probably has their own commissioner of education department. But it just varies greatly. I would not want to be a teacher in Florida. I certainly wouldn't want to be a teacher in Texas right now. I would never even, it wouldn't enter my mind to be a teacher in places like Utah. So, once you get control, we've been looking at that, Veg, with the, they're trying to control the courts, they're trying to control through gerrymandering, but now it looks like they're trying to control through the local school boards. And so now you've got their minds, because, you have kids that are, 8 or 9 years old, and, we have our Jeff Van Drew, and all he talks about in his emails are, you got to stop CRT, they're trying to teach a Marxist agenda. I'd be the main meal.
I saw a children's book today about how wonderful our President Trump is and how much he has done for the country. And it's
King
for
Trump.
kids. And it just reminded me of what they were doing, what Hitler was doing, with this kind of indoctrination. And they're worried about, I don't know, drag shows, or what bathrooms people use, and it's all these hot button issues that they go for, and really there's no policy behind anything. I just wonder, okay, they want power desperately. Even if they have it, what are they going to do with it? Okay, I can see they're going to try and impeach Biden. Well, that's going to go nowhere, obviously.
And they don't care, though. They don't care.
But everything's going to be at a standstill. And I'm just, I'm hoping against hope that people are in the States are going to come out in numbers too big to be manipulated. And that's a tall order, but it happened in 2020. And I think people are more, from what I see online now, I don't live down there, so I can't, I'm not getting it from my neighbors. But from what I see online, women are really, really going to go out and vote in big numbers. Younger people are going to vote in bigger numbers, and we know that larger turnouts always favor the Democrats. So we're going to see.
And the Republicans know that, and Bannon has been throwing seeds out there to just somehow discourage the Democratic vote within the next month. Now, that's a problem too. And you've seen what happens in the courts. I don't know what will happen, but they certainly have an advantage, with how the congressional seats are set up. I mean, it's almost a guaranteed win. Everybody would have to come out, and you'd have to assume that there'd be a fair election, because again, they were projecting when they said, "Well, this is a stop the steal." Well, the real steal comes from within. I mean, it was Trump who was doing that, of course. But
they black is white and white is black and up is down and down is up, and this is what's going on in politics all over the world. It's not just America. We've got the same thing happening up here. If you look at Britain, it's the same thing there.
That's a mess too.
Yeah, complete mess. And I don't know. It's tough times. And then we've got Vladimir Putin and his nuclear threats.
Did that affect you with your video? I mean, I noticed a sense of desperation where you're saying, because you mentioned the word asshole, which is, again, kind of the foundation of what all three of us have been talking about. Whether it's assholes at this level or the guy who's going to just throw the plastic cup out in front of your house. It seems to me that that this thing is out of control, and you showed your exasperation with it, and say, and I'm just wondering if what Putin was saying this week was I don't know, or it had nothing to do with it maybe, but it seemed what he was saying is that we're going to use these things because they can't win right now the way it's going. The mobilization is not going to do anything but drive more people out of the country.
Yeah.
And Finland's already saying no thanks, because as much as they understand people want to come over, they don't want that many people. They don't want them coming as tourists anymore, and that's going to happen. I don't know. Right. I don't know if Biden said this or not, but maybe I'm dreaming this, that if these young Russian men do leave the country, that there's a possibility they would offer them asylum in the United States. Now, I don't know if he said that. I
didn't hear that.
I thought I read something. Now that would be pushing it, because if you have 100,000 Russians saying, "Hey, hold it, not only am I going to miss this fucking war and live, I might just head on down to Miami." I don't know if, again, don't quote me on that, and anybody watching this. I just know he said something about these people, or maybe I have to look my facts up on that one, but I did want to mention that just in case. It might be just kind of like an interesting idea, maybe not so much now with the problem with immigration, but that could put pressure on Putin, because then if he starts losing people and America accepts them like they did with the boat lift, that might be an effective tool. If you can get to Finland, we can get you here. I don't know what you feel. Yeah. Of course, you're from Canada, but Canada certainly accepts the Ukrainians. T, I don't know.
We take in a lot more refugees than America. Mm-hmm. And given the size of our population, I guess that's why you look at demographics, Canadians aren't reproducing fast enough. So we open up the doors to immigrants, and there's a lot of resentment among some people, but generally we all more intelligent people realize that they add a lot to our society. So I can see them taking in Russians. Sure, Trudeau could probably do that. We're taking in like hundreds of thousands of refugees. And,
do you guys take Putin seriously with his threats?
Honestly, it's almost too horrific to take seriously. I want to say it's all bluff and bluster, but also I think he's probably painted himself into a corner now. And the best hope might be for him to be overthrown by somebody. But I mean, he's surrounded by hardliners. So
And
would
the
somebody,
same Stalin, it was hard to get. They weren't able to kill him.
No.
What do you think, T? With Putin,
dude, I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I'm catching about every third or fourth word from you guys. I started reading. It's bad on this end.
All right. Maybe I should just say it again. Maybe hope that you can pick it up.
Well,
yeah, we were talking. Do you think that we should take Putin seriously, considering that he may use tactical nuclear weapons?
Personally, yes. I mean, he's got the capability to do it. He's ornery enough to do it. He has nothing really to lose anymore. I say, personally, right off the bat, if I was a betting man, yes. Take him very serious. What I understood that he's trying to annex part of the Ukraine.
Right.
That was the last I heard.
Right.
Y'all got to forgive me. I've been cut off for a few days here, so I'm playing catch up on this.
Completely understood.
They had a referendum at gunpoint.
Right.
So they went. No, seriously, and they watched who you had to vote for. Yes, I want to be ruled by Russia, and they had the Russian troops around there with guns at their heads. Here, vote. And then he goes, "Oh, see, it's a referendum. We won. They want to be here. We're democratic now."
Which is interesting because Keith just posted the numbers. Anytime you get 99% of the vote, you kind of know what's going on there.
Oh, absolutely. And there's numerous reports of really bad things going on in the any of the captured Russian territories or the recaptured Russian territories. The stories that are coming out are horrendous, and whether to believe them or not, or is it war propaganda? I tend to think that I think maybe there's some exaggeration, but I've heard about torture and horrible things, mass graves, and I struggle to comprehend that kind of evil in my head because thankfully I've never had to live through it. Watching the U.S. in the Holocaust, the Ken Burns documentary, boy, that made me think.
Oh, wow.
I still haven't seen that, believe it or not.
Oh, you've got to see it, Brian. It's absolutely the best thing Ken Burns.
Well, what's different about it in general from any other documentary about the Holocaust? Is there more insight of some sort that?
It's more about the American response to it and how and Canadian
response, right?
how nobody wanted to take in these Jewish refugees. Right. And a lot of them ended up going back and dying in the death camps. Yeah. And there was this sense of non-belief in the West that, there was rumors of, people of genocide going on and everything.
I think it was with the Secretary of State Dulles or something. He was one who's kind of a known anti-Semite under Roosevelt. And Roosevelt was not strong enough to deal with Dulles or whatever. I think it was Dulles.
Yeah. Well, there was like a typical anti-immigrant thing going on, much like people that are, like the Republicans are freaking out about the southern border and everything, and it's open borders in it, which is crap. But for some reason, Americans don't really like immigrants, and I don't understand. Is it a fear of the difference, or
No, and it's the thrill of the hate. That's all it
Yeah,
boils down to, is the thrill of the hate. You always got to have someone to hate. That was pretty
yeah,
much in that documentary as well. I mean,
yeah.
look over at Britain now. I mean, they're just sitting back middle fingering Europe. They hate Europeans. Here, personally, I don't hate an immigrant. But for some reason, we always got to have someone to hate. I don't understand that.
By the way, I made a mistake. I'm looking now just to. It says Cordell Hull is the Secretary of State. But I'm trying to think who else was, because I know, who was it?
Well, Charles Lindbergh actually.
Well, he was involved. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And even
Totally anti-Semitic, and saying, well, he was basically thinking Hitler was the best thing since sliced bread. So there's that. But it's the same thing here. We in Canada, we turned back thousands and thousands of Jews. Of course, we like to look at our country as being above all that, but we're not. Yesterday was the first Truth and Reconciliation Day here in Canada for the treatment of the Indigenous people here. And it wasn't a complete, it was supposed to be a big holiday. A lot of the provinces didn't go along with it. But there is a terrible history of colonialism and oppression of the natives, and anti-Semitism, anti-black stuff. We had a lot of that stuff going on, many years ago. The fear of the other. It's somebody talks different, or they follow a different religion, or they wear a turban on their head, and I don't know. I go to Costco here, and it's like a United Nations in there, and I kind of enjoy it. And I just see all these great ethnic restaurants popping up and things that you wouldn't normally have. Whereas I don't want to keep everything the same. Like, I think there's this fear of the immigrant changing their culture. And it's the same thing with the acceptance or lack thereof of gay people. It's that are afraid. I mean, Brian, like how gays were perceived when we were young. I mean,
absolutely, yes.
And there are people that just will never accept change, or they want a white bread world with the white picket fence and everything just fine. The world isn't like that. And as we have more climate disasters, there's going to be more displaced people. And God knows how many displaced people there are going to be if Putin starts a nuclear war, which, God help us. I mean, that is the scariest thing right now. That's what keeps me awake at night.
Because what would be the response? I would assume that it wouldn't necessarily be nuclear, but it would definitely mean there would be a response by NATO, or definitely by Biden will do it. He has said, what else could he do? You can't let this guy bully you.
But I mean, if you start that escalation, who knows how it's going to end.
You're right. Well, I think, though, that I think the problem with not doing anything is worse than doing something. I think that if you call his bluff, unless he goes rogue, if they know, first of all, they know that our weaponry is better than theirs. They have plenty of nuclear weapons, but our ability to hit the target we know it's better. And they will be hit, and they will not live. So if they know that they're going to be destroyed, I would think the military and others would blink, and they'd say, look, we can save this for another day here. We can't let one man decide how this thing's going to go. I think, and I would hope that the United States intelligence would kind of be watching that and trying to hear what's going on. What kind of talk is there? Middle military people, some politicians, what would happen if? There's got to be the what if scenarios on both sides. But if he uses those weapons against the Ukrainians, you can't. I think at this point, all bets are off. It was bad enough as it was when they were, bombing. You can't let somebody like that threaten you. You have to hit, and we can hit him. That's the one thing he knows. We can hit him. We can destroy Russia. Sure, he could cause a nuclear winter and it could end us all. But if we subjugate ourselves to his bullying us, then we have to live like this and do not this and just let people die. It's look, this is what happens when you had the nuclear genie taken out. I mean, it was going to happen, but at some point, that's just my opinion, but something has to be done, and it has to be pretty severe. There has to be something that shows you just can't do this. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want a nuclear exchange, by the way. That's, you know.
How is this going to end? What's the way out of this? Peace talks? They're not really. Either side is not going to give even a little bit. I think probably Zelensky wants Crimea back too.
You want some good news?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll paint this scenario, this picture. So you're talking about, Putin painting himself in a corner. Look at it this way. There are still plenty of people in Russia who have a problem with the special operation, or as we know, the war. We still know there are people who know the truth about what's going on. We also know there are people there who would like to be in power. We also know there are Russians who are the way they are, and they're manipulated. Usually people our age and older there, and they believe in Putin's shtick. That if things work out just the right way, where he becomes so unpopular, and there is a revolution, because of the size of Russia, I could see them regionalizing, kind of like Canada, but you'd have like 4, instead of provinces, like 4 distinct countries in Russia. The main one would be Russia as we know it, on the western side of Russia. And then, they have the Siberian thing, and then you have the eastern Russia. However they would set that up. And then, as Masha Gessen once said, instead of Russia preferring to be an empire, they would want to be nice. Like, complete change. And this could only come about through something like this, where, the people have been lied to. There are a lot of deaths. They lose the war. Putin almost ignites World War III. And they say, look, we've had enough. We've had enough.
Yeah.
This has got to end. And then you flood 100 million people out in the streets, or you flood 100 million people out of the country. Then it can't sustain itself as a country. As it is, it really can't sustain itself. There's, a lot of the land's not arable. It's easy to be attacked. All the rivers go north except for one, I believe. It's just not set up for holding its shit together, so to speak. Excuse the expression. So I see some positive things that could happen, much like 1991 or even before Perestroika. But this thing could go the right way. But as you say, you've got Viktor Orban, you've got people in Italy, and to me, they're keeping an eye out on this kind of thing. Like, we don't really want Russia to be free, because freedom is a real problem for fascism. Just as you say, the Democratic voter turnout is a real problem for people like Steve Bannon, because they see that the white population is not the minority anymore. And that's all they really care about, is staying in control. They don't care if they're the minority. So I see possibilities for Russia, given the situation. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's a distinct possibility given its size and given what's happening. And if it gets to a critical mass and they do something, I think a lot of good things could happen, even in the worst of times. Now, if we were talking about our country, that's a bit more. I even think it's more problematic here, given a crisis. It doesn't seem that way, but maybe it's just because I'm an American. I kind of think that, again, going back to the title of the show, what will be lost, what will remain. I don't see how, even now, I don't see America as we knew it politically, even though, we're going at it all the time. That type of sensibility hasn't occurred. And you said yourself with Eileen Cannon, I mean, she's horrific. I mean, she just outright made a decision that had nothing to do with the law. It had just loyalty painted all over it. So, yeah, I think that it could go that route as far as that tactical nuclear. If he would perhaps try it, but if he does it, I say there has to be a response, and a response that's so quick and so definite and threatening that they know that any type of confrontation with the West is they're going to lose. That we mean business.
Yeah.
And maybe they will back down. That's what Kennedy did, and they backed down. He doesn't want to lose his country. It's bad enough he's lost that part of Ukraine, and he will lose.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my opinion. He can throw 300,000 soldiers there, but their heart's not in it.
No, and conscripts is the same thing that went on in Vietnam too. Brian, the feed is really bad.
Okay, I'm going to try to click off.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say earlier. I'm sitting here going from one ear to the other.
It just got worse and worse and worse.
Let me see what's going on here, if I can do anything to change it. I'm so sorry. I don't know that I can do too much. Let me see.
I'm catching about every third or fourth word. I'm sitting here going, okay. Right. Where are we going with this?
All right. It's a shame because I think it's a good conversation. I just can't.
Yeah.
Aspect. Wow, it doesn't look good either here.
I'm still playing catch up on this and reading Donald Trump shit.
Oh, jeez. I'm just going to look at your bandwidth statistics. I need just a second just to look at these. They can let me see.
He told McConnell he has a death wish? What the fuck is up with that? That's what I've been reading up on, and I just got lost into it. I couldn't hear what the hell you're all saying.
All right, I'm just going to take a quick speed test while you guys can keep talking if you want. I want to just get a quick speed test while you're doing this. I'm not signing off or anything like
that. Yeah. Well, it's hard. It's hard to hear because you're breaking up.
Mike, down. I know it must be I'm going to see if I can knock off my Twitter feed and see what happens there. That might help us a little bit. Christ.
Yeah, it's a fun evening. That's what we get for rubbing the third rail.
Oh, Jesus.
It could be it could be just the storms and everything. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think this is an Xfinity problem with Comcast. My Christ. Yeah, it's showing my upload speed at 4 or 5, and it should be at 37.
Yeah.
Comcast is holding us hostage.
And I've had it
Send help.
With them. All right. What can I do here? I'm trying to knock off one of my broadcasts. There's 3 broadcasts going on at once, and that's why you're having the problem.
The music is coming in clear.
Well, that's fine. But I'm trying to see what source camera is seeing. This is just something new, and I don't like playing with this shit while it's happening.
Don't you just love it when things go to shit?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, it needs 16.1 megabytes for 3 connections, and I probably have 2 for 3, and it's not working. You know what? I'm going to have to do this, folks. I hate doing this, but I think I'm going to have to call Comcast. I don't think I can have a show here this way. I'm just going to take one last chance and see if there's anything here I can do. This is an upload problem, upload speed, because you have to get this, and this is why it's not happening. And this shouldn't happen. because Ecamm would just tell me, they'll say, look, your upload required speed is 16 and you're getting 2. So, all right.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually 37. So,
we should have knew something was up. When you kept on saying you're seeing the hood ornament, I'm like, dude, I haven't changed anything.
Well, that I don't know that was the main problem.
I was seeing the image of myself, but you were just bleach white.
Well, that's more upload again than anything else. 26. Jesus Christ. I'm going to try one more thing here, and then other than that, I'm going to have to shut it down. I'm just trying to... I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to just shut down this one, and I'm going to immediately open up the next one. And if that doesn't go, I'll shut it down. But just give me a call in like 1 minute, okay? And if it doesn't go,
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, folks, hang on. Sorry about this. I had a problem with my upload speed. I just told the guys it's just not worth having to deal with this. I'm looking now at the upload speed. For some reason, I don't know. I don't know what happened. It seems as though the upload speed's correct now. It's at 38.5, which is about normal. So I don't know what to tell you, but I'll stay on for a couple minutes. So T-Bone and Veg, if you're out there watching somehow and you see it, I just went back on to tell everybody what the issue was. And just strangely enough, I don't know, it could be Ecamm for those of you who are familiar with Ecamm. It's the program that I use to stream with, and you can stream to multiple platforms: Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, which I'm on right now. But unfortunately, the feed wasn't very good. My upload speed, I need at least 4 megabytes for each platform, and I only had 2 for the entire 3 platforms. So there was no way. So the gentlemen were watching me. Everything looked bleached out, and that was that. So I was just signing on now to make sure I tell everybody what the deal was. And I saw my upload speed was pretty good. But yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I'll try it one more time. I don't trust it. It could be Ecamm. I'll do it one more time. And yeah. Yeah, I'm certainly not anything for Putin. I mean, as you probably know, folks, I do teach Russian at a high school. I teach Russian 1 and Russian 2, even though I'm a business teacher. And it's problematic for me because, well, on many levels, we have a competition every year, and we have a local community who, will act as judges for the students to see how well they're doing with translation and whatnot, how they speak. But the community is generally a Ukrainian community because they speak Russian. And that's very, very helpful. Okay, now I'm looking at the speed here. I guess it's just good enough right now. I don't know what's going on here. But getting back to the point, it's very difficult to stand in front of a class and promote a language when the country's at war with Ukraine. They've invaded, and that's that. I mean, I can't put a picture of Putin up. I mean, it would be disgraceful. I mean, I hate Putin. So, in fact, I'll show you what I have. I actually have a photograph that I can show you. This is a display case that I have outside the school, or right outside my room, I should say. Let me see if I can dig it up here, and I'll show you. And I had to think about it because last year all I had was the Ukrainian flag. I just had the Ukrainian colors, and that was it. Because I was so incensed about the situation. So what could I do? Well, that's what I could do. So in this case, where I have he came here, yeah. In this case, I thought, okay, I'm going to put in this display case all the people who are in the opposition, all the people who are exiled. So let me show you what I did. It's the next best thing. I didn't want to have the Ukrainian flag for 2 years in a row. At least, I mean, I still need to get my students and whatever. So, yeah, let me just show you here. Not the web. See, it says 22 megabytes. That's not going to work. Photos. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I did. So, for example, in the front there, you see some Soviet Life magazines that I had from the middle 80s. Early 80s, and it says Ruski Язык, which is the Russian language. And then I have, dead center. Unfortunately, I laminated it, so there's a little bit of glare. We have Navalny. To the left, we see their rock star Boris Grebenshikov. We have Masha Gessen with Keith Gessen, who is her brother. On the top right, you see Yuri Dud, who is a very, very famous YouTuber, and now he's outside the country. And of course, I have Alexander Pushkin, the great Russian poet. So basically what I did was I say, I've got to promote the language. And I even posted this on Twitter, because you can't blame the language, right? I mean, the language wasn't guilty. You could blame the people too. I mean, some of the people, not all of them. But it's a serious situation. If you're living in Russia, I mean, there's fear. The propaganda is quite effective. It's probably more effective than Fox News in terms of getting 60, which seems about the right number. Whereas in our country, 55% of the people, or maybe close to 58, maybe even 60, are against Trump. So it's kind of the opposite. And of course, Putin has control of all the courts. So it is a very, very difficult situation. And if you didn't, hear what I said, I still think there are positive things that could happen. And one of the great things would be if he could be eliminated, by his own people, whatever style you want to do it. A Gaddafi thing, or Mussolini, or just, Novichok, whatever. I mean, look, I'm not the person who wants to see just somebody get knocked off, but this guy is a real problem, and as was Hitler. Audio stalling. Wow, that's not good. Maybe every time I get on, it's just losing. I'm going to let you see what the deal is here. Let me see. Close this. Having issues. I'm going to let everybody see what I'm looking at. Yep, no video, no nothing. Holy shit. Oof, not good. Okay, just hold on for a sec. We'll see what I can do here. I'm going to refresh the page and see what happens. All right. Now it's not. That's not good. Be good to have a new SNL. I keep seeing repeats. I don't like watching repeats. All right, let's see what the upload speed is. No, it's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. All right. I don't know, Anthony. With this one, I've never had a problem. I mean, it hasn't met my expectations at times, but it never was this low. So it's a problem. I can't have 3.4. It's usually at 38 or 39. So that's, that's a problem here. I could switch to Wi-Fi and see if that does it. I don't know. Maybe worse. Okay, the upload speed will be, download speed will be slower, but maybe I can get the upload speed. We'll see. And that's very slow there, but I'm going to see what happens with, see, with Wi-Fi, I'm getting a normal thing. Now it probably is working for you. I don't get it. I would imagine right now you're able to see me and hear me clearly. If you do hear me clearly, please tell me, I'd like to know. Let me switch cameras here. And if you don't tell me, that might mean it doesn't work. All right. What a horrible show that I just didn't expect this to happen. Okay, if you can see me and you can hear me well enough, tell me. I'm actually on my Wi-Fi. I don't know what's happening. I'll use the text box here. Okay. Well, I just went onto my Wi-Fi, which is a lot slower. Fine locally. Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, I'll stay on for a few minutes, and no, I don't want to do that. Let's get back to this. What I normally would do. There should be music playing. I don't know. All right. Okay, so it's working. I did take a glimpse in the chat earlier. I knew there's some issues there. Well, I just want to just state right now that I definitely don't like Putin. I think the votes are a sham there. The only people who are going to vote actually would be Russians in the area. So if it was a 99% vote, it was because only Russians participated. In fact, it would be unlikely that the Russians would let Ukrainians participate. But I'm really not even concerned about that. My major concern would be, how does this play out? And what I was trying to say to everybody, I don't know if you heard me, that might be positive. That would be, if things went the right way, somebody would take out Putin. Maybe there'd be a section of Russia that would want this type of thing happening, another that. It might be good that Russia would split up. They wouldn't like it because they seem to want an empire. And that's kind of the problem, empire building, which is what the United States has done. People outside of it don't like it. I mean, Canada accepts it. I suppose that the United States is kind of like Big Brother empire kind of thing. But you would hope that the empire would be benevolent, which we were, seemingly. So, anyway, what I'm saying is that there's some positive aspects of this if you could see itself through. The bigger problem, I think, is, when he does do the exchange, how do you respond? And that will be up to the president. Because we're not going to war with them, but there would have to be a response. I would assume there would be a proper response, which may not involve nuclear weapons, but it might mean, we're going to shut down your grid. Maybe they can do that. I would think that there are some things that our country can do that simply a lot of people don't know. And hopefully the Russians don't know, but you can't know for sure because of Trump, because there's some missing documents. See, I know this is crazy thinking, but what if we had the ability to put out most of the grid, the electrical grid in Russia? Now, the Russians could obviously think that we might have that possibility, but they wouldn't know for sure unless some asshole, kind of like what Veg was talking about, some asshole like Trump would alert them. Now, I'm not saying he did that, but Trump is a person who is well known for doing whatever he believes. He spits on law. This is why you see judges like Eileen Cannon, and you see judges, well, he wasn't appointed by Trump, Bruce Schrader, doing what they do. There are people like that. And again, this is the idea, again, at the beginning of the show was, what will remain out of this and what will be irrevocably different. And this all may hinge on what happens in Ukraine, actually, if you think about it, because if it does require a response that I'm talking about, even if it is a tactical nuclear weapon, or maybe if it is a preemptive attack on their tactical nuclear weapons, it's definitely going up a level that has to be reached. I just don't know, where this thing will lead. I think the possibility exists that this war in Ukraine could affect how we live the rest of our lives. But Russia has to pay a price. He can't simply say that Russia is going to be an empire. That's what he wants. He wants a Russian empire. He has the geography, but it's not enough for him. And unfortunately, the president of the United States has to deal with that party. And that's a big problem. Because now, as I've said before, Biden has to deal with two parties, the Republican Party and Putin. It's a horrific situation, ladies and gentlemen. It's really, really horrific. And it must be difficult for somebody like Biden at his age. And I have to give him credit, because this is the kind of thing that'll put you out. It's just the stress. But he accepted the job, and he's going to have to do it. Let me look at a few comments, because I took a few glances. Kinky, how you doing? Russia can't do shit with the internet or grid unless they sabotage it physically, right? With their own. I'm just saying, as far as the United States, what we could do with their grid. I don't think we've done anything yet. I would hope that we could do a lot, especially with, their military. But you don't want to do it until you get to the point where they're ready to use nuclear weapons. And look, you know what? Maybe you and I all have to grow up with this and just understand that, it was headed this way. Or was it Einstein or Oppenheimer? I think it was maybe Oppenheimer who said, the nuclear genie, has been let out. And they foresaw bad things. And this is what's going to happen. And we are in this age. We've been very, very lucky that this hasn't been used. But, maybe if it can be limited in terms of how we deal with a tactical strike, we're going to have to be able to show it, because not only are the Russians watching, the Chinese are going to watch, and North Korea is going to watch. And then out there we have Iran. So even if you back down, to Putin, you're still going to have to deal with these rogue states. You still have to. And this is the ugliness, and this is probably why we won't survive in the end if, too many of these things start flying around. I mean, it's horrific to even talk about. But I don't know that you can placate somebody like Putin. I mean, he's sick. He's just as sick as Trump. And of course, North Korea and Iran. I mean, forget it. So, I think, again, in my opinion, I think that if Russia goes that far, and they may do something like that, because they don't accept defeat. I mean, the cat's out of the bag right now. I mean, most Russians understand they're losing. They're losing. And if he's desperate, he might do it. But he also doesn't want to lose to us. And if there's a nuclear exchange, then I don't want to belittle it. It's it's all over. Even if it's just ours that hit. But again, I don't think you can back down, because eventually they will use them, or they'll just keep using these threats. I just hope that we have an indomitable force that we can do what we have to do, so that Iran says, I don't want to take a chance with this country. Biden's going to do it. So, there we are. And maybe that is how this show ends itself, in the sense that, we had the past there and how we dealt with these situations. We have a country that's completely different in terms of how Republicans deal with each other. And now we have multiple countries with nuclear weapons, and some who would be willing to use them or to threaten to use them, which is bad in itself. So, we have to say goodbye to all that. And what things are irrevocably gone. And those days where you could negotiate or get a response that you knew you could survive this, you'd be okay with it, but it's not there anymore. This background music is kind of like not good for this type of topic. It's bad, yeah. But I've just got it on autoplay, so that's that. So, what do we do? I think I laid it out what the best thing to do. I mean, I wouldn't know specifically what they would do. I don't know that we'd actually use a tactical nuclear weapon there. Once you do it in Russia, forget it. They'd at least want to go to war with us, or maybe they would shoot them into Poland. And yes, I'm just daydreaming here, but that I can see that kind of thing happening. They would limit it first, and then that's. What we really need, ladies and gentlemen? We need people like us in other countries. People like us who just say no. And unfortunately, they may have to kill people like Putin, because it's just that bad. That's why we all kind of wish that Trump would die, or just choke on a Big Mac, or something like that. Because look what we have now. We have our So what we have is a majority who remains realistic, remains a group of people with common sense, and what has irrevocably left us is the idea that we can live together in any kind of normalized way. Maybe we'll have to America North and America South, like high schools, just separate East West. I don't know how you do it. And then over all of this, like a large looming thunderstorm, is climate change. Look, we're not here to give answers. We're just here to explain the truth. And that's that. Again, I'm really sorry it didn't work out tonight. And my apologies again to T-Bone and veg. I did not expect this. If I had known, I probably would have switched to Wi-Fi here, which is kind of unusual because the Wi-Fi is actually stronger than the line. I think I'm going to pull it down to the modem. All right, I'll take a few comments here and then say goodbye. Got a lot of Kinky here. How you doing, Kinky? Has already affected the rest of our lives, like 9/11 wrecked my life. I think I'm going backwards here. Russia's still a corrupt failure. Absolutely, I agree. Completely corrupt. Free Nation should have never done business with Russia and China while they were still in their autocracies. You know, I mean, I think that we could have done a better job during Perestroika, you know, and Clinton could have done a better job. Everybody kind of just wanted to flood in there and get what they could get. Took advantage of it. Kind of like Wilson in World War I. Just not enough. It was low at 30%. Alright. I can barely hear the music, but you guys can hear it. I can. Sorry about that, Sandy. Alright, don't worry about that. Remember when Judah put Steely Spies in the Peace Corps? I do, that's why. What the GOP do. Yeah, it's sad. Especially the judges. I mean, that's Eileen Cannon. I mean, I could have gone on forever tonight about her, but the Iranians are not happy people. That's right. At least the progressive ones. Probably prefer the Shah. I know Iranians who long for urban society they once had. The good part of the Shahs, but right. The bad part of the hard hand and the corruption. And I guess the hard hand was there because he had to watch out for the religious nuts. But the corruption, that's his fault. Just like Cuba with who's the B? I'm forgetting everything tonight. Christ. Before Castro. Oh, I forgot his name. For Christ's sake, I can't remember his name tonight. Russia can't even beat Ukraine. They're decimated. They don't do shit versus NATO. USA now, right? Yeah, I mean, they're certainly not going to do anything when the country's not behind it, and they're not. Sure, the people our age are, you know, but they're not going to fight the war. Perhaps the USA has electronic pulse weapons that could destroy neuroelectronic circuits well in the air. Yeah, well, that would be what you would want. Let's hope they don't have it. If Putin is out of his mind, then nukes might be launched, or maybe they would put a stop to him because they just don't want to fucking die. Yeah, well, you know, I would think he would have used them already if it wasn't for the fear that we would do something. So, you know, I mean, he might use a tactical one just to say, hey, I'm finally going to do something, but I don't think he's going to go all the way. But he might, you know. But like I said, you know, if he does it, they lose. And nobody in Russia wants a nuclear war. We don't want a nuclear war. Yeah, I think most of us do, unless you're Matt Gaetz or Donald Trump. 2000, China had 10 million cars on its road. Now it makes 20 million cars a year, thanks to the USA. Yeah, I know there are a lot of Chinese cars in Russia being sold. You know, they're better than the Russian cars. The Russian cars are horrible, just absolutely horrible. I can't wait till we just have electric vehicles. I mean, I know there are problems with the lithium and all that kind of stuff, but just get off the fossil fuels already. USA has 12 nuclear reactors. Just doesn't have one. They have one aircraft carrier. Yes, I know that, and it's always breaking down. China, I believe, I think China has one, or it's they're building it or something like that. They're going to want one. We still control the seas and the Pacific. But again, eventually these countries are going to have something or be able to do it. I think that's why they had the hypersonic weapons. You know, they needed those quick missiles to try to attack the aircraft carriers. Can we deal with hypersonic weapons? I don't know. We'll find out. You know, maybe Trump really did screw us. Weakened us. Yeah. Everything's shitty, huh? Just assholes, like Veg said. We're all just assholes. That's what we have. I'm going to show you some other videos too. Let me see if I can dig anything up as I go here. Some funny ones. I want to again thank Epi, because I know he's in Scotland really early in the morning there, willing to watch the show. I don't know if anybody heard about Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn is encouraging governors across the country, obviously red state governors, to go to war with the rest of the country, us. All of the equipment China uses to make chips is American, as the equipment to make solar panels, that's been shut off. That's good, I guess. Yeah, diesel. You're right. Yeah, they have them, but I heard that they have all kinds of problems with that one. I forget, it's called the General something or other. I don't even know how far the thing can go, especially if it's diesel. Probably go around the Mediterranean, the Black Sea, but wouldn't stand a chance. So, there's nothing like American Navy, which is why China still respects us. Plus, we are the breadbasket for the world, kind of the food basket for the world. That's why people talk about the dollar, and you need to have it backed by gold. It's bullshit. Bullshit. What matters is who's got the food. Really. The dollars are just transactions, but the country that has the food. So that's that, folks. I really appreciate everybody showing up. I did want to come back on, being that the speed was good enough, at least for me to make my point. I'll come on next week. I will see if Veg and T-Bone can make it. I do have to rectify this problem. Comcast pisses me the hell off. I got a new modem 6 months ago because the other one wasn't giving me the speed. They promised me this and that. It just never happened. But this was never like this. Sometimes just shutting everything down and then restarting is the best thing. So I'll try that once or twice. And after that. Yeah. Last comment here from Kinky. Number one export buyer, Boeing 737 MAX jets, China. I don't doubt it. We have the best aircraft in the world. Right? By far. Not only that, we have the ability to do upkeep. So, yeah. All right, it's good seeing everybody. And David, yeah, well, I told the guys I really wasn't going to comment because I don't have any news. I don't have any news. My only suggestion is it's probably not good because I have texted him frequently, and I'm just going to look at the last time here on the phone to see if he got back to me. No. It's been almost 4 months, so I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about that at all. I'm sure you don't either. There's nothing I can do, but we will go on. Let me set us back to decades. And hurricane season's not over. It's not over. I said the last comment, but we'll have one more here. I have no patience for MAGA turds anymore. Sorry, or Putin, third pity party. Yeah, I mean, that whole shit with the fucking Roger Waters, man. He must have, I don't know what his fucking problem is. First of all, he can't get along with his bandmates. It's just, got a hard on for, like saying controversial shit. You wonder if does he actually care? Does he just want to say these bombastic things? It's kind of obvious who's the bad party. So when China had them all grounded, Trump was bashing China. What an ass Trump is, yeah. Yeah, he can't get a stick up his ass soon enough, can he, Kinky? He really can't. He's just, man's that shitty. He's a real piece of shit. He has ruined this country. There's some things we'll never recover from. And we only have DeSantis to look forward to after Trump's gone. And then your neighbor who becomes the next congressman or woman in your county. Assholes. Veg was right. Alright, I'm gonna salute everybody for hanging in here. I'm really tired and I'm really pissed that this didn't work. I had a lot of hope for this show. But, at least I can say I did the show, right? At least I can say that. Yeah. Alright, folks. I was 2 homes in Florida before the hurricane ended. It was a nice devastation. Yeah, sooner or later, Florida has to be hit enough that DeSantis will get it. Wave his hand and say, yeah, I guess it is real. But you know what? He probably knew it all the time. All right, for those who are left, Anthony, Kinky, Epi, whoever's left, thank you. And I'll see you next week and hopefully under better conditions. Be safe. And you can find me on Facebook. Glad we stand. Please join. And if you're just watching now and you're new to this, you see this crazy guy in front of a bookcase. Please subscribe. It'll be better next week.